Thank you for joining me today. I have this matching pair of chairs to work on. I do have to try to keep as many tacks as possible because she would like them put back in, but I don't think there's very much to really say about these at the moment. If I find something, I certainly will let you know. So let's get on with it. I have just taken most of the back off. The outside back still needs to come off. There's the foam. And they had put this on. This is actually a sheet of plastic that they'd put over the back. I will not be replacing it. This was on the first chair that I put back together, and when I was putting the staples in, the legs of the staples were not necessarily going through. They were going at wonky angles, and you really need to try not to damage the frame. So that is going in the bin. I'm not going to look at that again. This fabric has an up and a down to it. You can see there's a nice sheen on that side, which means that the selvage is at the bottom. It's a little bit darker there and nice and shiny that way. So I'm going to make sure that's at the bottom of the back, and because the chair's upside down, it's going to be a little bit more cautious than usual. So that was down. I'm going to pop that face down because that's the outside back. Lay it over so it's nice and even. And I'm going to put my first staples here. I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to pull it out towards the side here and here. And then all I'm going to do is just infill so it doesn't move. Not too many, just enough, because I'm going to be infilling again and take it right into the corner. I can easily check to make sure that hasn't come through. Then I'm going to pull up from the centre to the top. Just make sure it's taut from bottom to top. Again, put some staples in. Pull it up and out, even though you're going around a curve. So it's nice and taut. And then I'm going to do that on the second side as well. So up and out. I'm not going to pull too much to one side or another. I'm just going to hold it straight, because basically pulling it up and out on both sides should have got this where it needs to be. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Having done that, I'm going to roughly cut about 1 inch on the outside all the way down and around. I'm just going to cut a couple of little nicks like that, where it curves a little bit more, whether inside or outside. Pull it over slightly and re-secure it as I work my way around. I don't like to fill everything up with too many staples because I've got another row of staples to put in. Once you've done that, just lift and run your fingers along the outside border of the wood to make sure that you haven't put any staples through. You shouldn't have done. This side is only 1/2 inch and this is 3/4 inch, so I'm more worried about this lower edge in this chair. Usually I put straps across, but I know that this chair is hardly ever used. It's in the hallway and used only as an occasional chair, so I'm not going to worry about that. With all the support here, it will hold it, and I will be putting more staples in, and it also has tacks going in, so I think it's going to be absolutely firm. This piece of fabric that's going on top, I will put a centre mark in there like that, not because I need it as such, but just to make sure that when I put it in here and when I put it down there, it's equal either side, and then it should run straight up and down. I'm going to just pop that against the wood here so that it stays in line, and again I'm going to pull it out to the side and secure it, and out on this side as well and secure it. Just make sure you're inside where you're meant to be securing it. You don't want to mess that up. I'm going to just add a couple more. Again, I'm going to pull it to the top, away from the bottom, and secure the centre. As before, I'm going to pull it out and up so that it goes in nice and smoothly. A few to start off with, and then I can infill. Make sure the foam is on the inside, because you don't want any of the foam showing underneath. You just want that all hidden. Pull that down here and then around. I think that looks okay. And you put a couple of infills in, just hold it And a couple of infills at the top as well, just to make sure everything's tight. Before I cut it back, I'm going to check that there's no staple legs poking out where they shouldn't be. When I do this side, again, I'm just going to pull it slightly out to the side, but not very much, because most of the pulling has been done up and down. It just needs to be secured. If there's any little wrinkles like that, that will be hidden when I put the band on for these tacks to go in. I cut some lengths of binding, usually piping, but I'm going to call it binding this time because or trim, because I will be putting this underneath tacks as I put them in. I'm not putting the tacks in as close as they were when they came out. I don't like doing them that tight, and I do prefer to put a binding there. I think it just looks a little bit neater. So I'm going to go corner to corner like I do for piping. I'm also making sure that the fabric is going in the same direction, so there's continual shade going along underneath the decorative tacks. Just move that up, and that should do. I'm going to start at the bottom by laying this out. And before I put the first tacks in, I'm just going to cut this right back to the shaping of where the trim needs to go. I'm only going to do little sections of it because I might have to alter this as I go around. Here I'm going to just have to cut that back a little bit. Pop that on there so it hides everything. I'm going to start where I think the middle is. It's a little bit difficult, but I think it's between these ones. I think that's slightly off. Pop that there and put a tack halfway through from top to bottom and gently tap that into place. First one in, and to roll my trim into position. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the outside edge here where I'm going to be putting the next tack in. Line the tack up midway between one side and the other of the trim and attach. Doesn't mean to say they're going to go in absolutely evenly, but they should have at least 1/4 inch of fabric between them. Or just about. I'm going to move along to the next one. Make sure the raw edge of your trim as you fold it over does not show, and try to make sure that the bit of fabric that you're hiding doesn't show either. You can get special gadgets to help, but I've never used one, and although I do these tacks, I don't do them that often, just once in a while. I will get a run of them. This is my second chair. I've got 2 more chairs to do with tacks, and then I won't have any for months and months on end, so I have just never bothered buying one of the gadgets to measure it. They are varying slightly, but by the time I get all the way around, nobody is really going to notice it, just me. Having pulled front to back as tight as I can, I'm going to pull this down and secure just above the trim here on both sides. I prefer to pull it down on both sides at the same time, and then I know that they're in place. And the other side. I'm going to pull this forward and down. Well, not so much down, I want it even. If I pull it forward and down towards the front and the back, it takes some of this out. And when I've got the trim on, it'll hide anything. Then I'm going to come to the back. I think I'll just move this over slightly and that will take that out, because I don't want it puckering here. I want it nice and even. And then I'll do the same on the inside arm, just down to start off with, and then down and towards the back, and then down and towards the front. Once that's done, cut back the fabric so you can put the trim on. Sometimes you might need to alter the staples if you think they're a little bit too close to the wood trim. I'll probably go around this again because I didn't cut that very well. So I'm going to move a couple of these staples up a little bit further because they're quite low, and then go around again to remove the excess fabric so it's all nicely in place. I like to have odd numbers on the tops of these chairs, and I'm also giving this a little bit of space, so I'm going to put one at the top here like this, and another one here. Now they're not evenly spaced, they're just wherever I've got them. I'm not going to worry about the top ones. Along here I'm just going to put one at the center of here, so I've got my odd number on the top of the arm of the chair. Brought these round as evenly as I can, and I've been measuring them, the centre of the next one, to 1/2 inch. Now I want to go over that. I don't want it to be quite so close. So there's 5/8 there. I'm going to cut it a little bit further out from 5/8. Not by very much. The reason is I want this side to go over that side. And because that's the way the eye looks at things, you want to hide things. So let's carry on here. That one there. I think I've only got 2 more to go actually. I might have to cinch them a little bit closer or spread them out a little bit. When you're coming in from both sides, they're not always as even where you join it as you'd like it, but it'll be fine. It'll look even enough, I think. I'm going to cut this to a little bit of a point so it's not so obvious from the front that it's folded. It's got a bit of tapering, so it looks nice and thin there. I want that to go over to there. So it's not going to look perfect, but it should look even between those 2 nails. Fold that one up, fold that one over and in, put that on top, going through both sets of fabric, which is why you cut one side slightly longer. It's not perfect. Everything's hidden that needs to be hidden. There we go. That's how you join it. I'm not actually centering the back because I know that I've got plenty of space, but I will secure it to about 3 inches inside the back legs. So to about here. And then infill. The same on the other side. That will hold everything in position. The fabric has a pile in it, and I've just made sure that the pile goes down towards the front of the chair. Now, although I did mark the centre, I'm just going to pull the fabric from the back to the front of the chair and down, and I'm going to make sure that that looks about even and secure here as well. And again, back to front and into position. On this corner, I'm going to lift any staples that are in behind here because I don't like the way the fabric comes down. It's very awkward to do that way. And I'll do the same on the front here and fill it out so that it has a nice finish coming to the arm instead of down. I find trying to put decorative tacks in places like that is really annoying. So the best thing for me to do is just get rid of it, pull it back and fill it up. The original foam is a little bit old. I'm going to tell her to replace it next time because it's almost at the end of its life. But I also know that this is the second time she has had these chairs upholstered, so maybe 5-10 years down the road she'll have them done again, and that would be when I advised her to change the foam out. So I'm going to start at the back here because I want to be able to roll this into position better at the front arm there. This is 2-inch wide foam. I'm going to take about 1/4 to 1/2 off the bottom like that because I want it to pop down in there. Put that towards the back. I also cut them to about 1 inch wide, so they're a little bit wider than I want. Push that in to fill up that gap and cut that back. It's a little bit over, it'll be fine because by the time that's pushed right in, it'll fill the space. Pull that over the top and see how that comes over. There's a little bit of gap here because it's a little bit firmer. I think that will work. Actually, what I'm going to do is put a piece of Dacron underneath just to make sure that that runs smoothly. So I've cut my square. I've cut into it like that, so that will go down on the inside. I'm going to push that so it's nice and flat under the existing Dacron to fill up the space. Just make sure it's nice and firm in there. Now, when I pull this down, it actually fills up part of the empty space, the negative space, where the old foam has been pushed into place. So now I'm going to pull this in, fold it across like that, and I'm going to cut into the chair leg. Not too close, and into place. You sometimes have to take a couple of goes to get it right where you want it. I'll pull that back in and down and see where that comes. I think that's it. Maybe a little bit more this way. I think a little bit more that way, so I'm going to have to cut it a slightly different direction. If you take little snips at it rather than lengths, you'll get everything pulled in as it needs to be. I think that would be fine. The inside is slightly rounded, which makes it a little bit more awkward to get the right angle. But once you've got it in, it'll be fine. So sometimes it's an angle like that, and sometimes it's a rounded angle. And on this arm, it's rounded, which makes it a little bit awkward to get into position. And now I'm going to fold that underneath and pull it in. I can take that much fabric off so that it doesn't get caught up and snag on the back of the chair. So I'm going to just cut that all the way into that corner, or as close to, and pull that in. Now ideally the threads should be going up and down, but the shaping on this chair, it will alter slightly. There we go. Push all of that rubbish behind there. Fold the fabric until it's nice and neat. Pull it in and secure. Pull it straight down. Don't need to pull it forward or anything, just straight into place and it will go. I'm going to pull that round to see where it comes to, and when it's halfway through the leg, which is there, I'm going to cut it straight back. That is so when I pull it into place here, it folds down into the chair like that, underneath. Now sometimes you might want to take a little bit more out of there. Just make sure all of the stuffing is up where it needs to be when you pull that in. I think I like the way that goes. I can take a little bit more out because there's quite a bit there, but here again, don't just take chunks off because it does alter the way it sits in here. And don't angle it, just take it straight in. Roll that in, make sure all the stuffing's there and secure. Pull that into place. A little bit ridgy here, so I'm going to take this one and this one out and see if I can pull that in, and it looks like I can. I'll pull these out and just pull them into a better position. So I'm going to pull that one in. I think that might be okay. I'm putting trim on, so if it's not, it won't matter. It's not going to be that obvious. When I'm happy with the back, I'm just going to cut that back. In theory, I'm going to cut that back. And if I find that this is a bit too close, I can move the staples up slightly and then take this back even closer to the frame. It's easier if you cut it back and then work out where you need to go up in order to get it closer. Pulled the staples out, holding that down, and I'm going to put this into the gap and into place. Just maneuver it, make sure it fits, and again, cut your piece of Dacron to go in there. Cut like that and like that and pop it in so it goes down the inside of the arms, and that V goes down into there. My advice is always to put it underneath the existing Dacron. Usually goes in smoother. It's just a little bit awkward to get everything into place. I'll pull that out a little bit and pop that under there, because the Dacron you've just put in is just to fill any spaces. Make sure it goes in as smoothly as you can, as far as you can, in all directions. If I bring the fabric from the back of the chair all the way to the front like that and down, you can see there's about 1/4 of an inch more fabric that I can bring in. So I'm going to remove this and bring it into place. When you're pulling the front in, you're going to be pulling it down and then slightly across. You don't want to be pulling it all the way across at the top because you'll end up with wrinkles, so just pull it forward and then slightly across. Secure it. At the front it comes down, and then as you go around it just angles a little bit. Not too much, you don't want pleats there. I've lined the weave so it's parallel to here. I'm going to cut into that corner from here and then into this corner like that. The reason is this piece is going to go all the way down into there, and I'm going to pull it under the leg to hold it, because otherwise I don't have enough fabric to hold it in position. When I hold it here it just lumps up a little bit. Push it down into there, and I'm going to push that down and into there. That should fold into here. That should fold into here. I'm going to push it down with my finger so I can go where it needs to go, but I do have to pull it in from underneath. So put that there. Looks like I can take a little bit more back. If I pull it here, you can see that it pulls up, so I can take a little bit more out of those corners. Just a little bit more. I'll put that down there and I'll cut at an angle, because again these are rounded, you can see the shaping. I think that will work on that one, and I'll do the same on this one. Just take a little bit more out and into that corner. That will pull in when I'm pulling it at the back side. make it nice and even. I've pulled all of this down and into place. Originally it went all the way through there, but to be honest it should go down. So I'm going to take it down and then secure it. And I'm just going to pull all of this down and into place. Something I did notice earlier, I might have done it again, is I lifted it too high. So I'll probably have to bring it in twice. That's what I had to do, yeah. Because if I bring that down, you can see that staple is a little bit too high for there. But that's okay. I'll bring that in a minute. Follow the shape of the chair. I'm just pulling it down and it will go into place. It can be hit and miss. This one's a little bit high. I'll take that out. And I'm going to take this one out here because that's a little bit high. And the one next to it. There we go. And again, just cut everything back once you're happy with it. I think my scissors need sharpening. Just cut that back to where I want it. If I need to alter it, I can. But at least it gives me an idea of where everything's going. I did cut this a little bit further, so it's a little bit rough, but once it's pulled in, I think it'll be fine. And again, I'm just going to take it to here, not all the way in like it was. This will pull down when I pull the inside, and that will also twist this in, and the same on the other side, so it should be fine. I'm going to pull it down, not forward, so kind of down and back, but not too far back because I don't want it wrinkly. Now I'm going to pull this one down and into shape. I'm trying to avoid having too much fabric in the corner, and by doing that I'll take some of this out here and then here and into shape. I'm not going to pull this too much, I'm just going to assist it to go into the shaping of the chair. If there's a little wrinkle down here, that's fine, I'm not going to worry about that. Oops, a daisy. And into here, and then the same on the other side, just down a little bit. By the time the trim goes on, that piece will be hidden. So now I've just cut up and round and get rid of that extra fabric. I've pulled the fabric from underneath on the inside of the arm here, and I'm just going to secure it here. That won't pull, it will keep everything even. And then I'm just going to replace this along here, and the bottom of the chair is finished. Here I have ended as straight as I could on this corner because I didn't want to go on up and around like it had been done. And the same, I started at the back leg and moved forward to here, and on the front I started in the middle and came either side, but always start and finish with a straight edge. You can cut the fabric back, and once it's held into place it's not going to fray. Thank you for joining me on this project. These are really for accent in her hallway as you go in, which is why I also put 2 cushions on there. I think for accent chairs that aren't used very often, they're going to be perfect for this time. And in a few years when she changes her mind, she'll change everything out. If you'd like to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.